Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films. Can you believe it? Week 8. By halftime, not this week, but next week, we'll be officially halfway through 17 game season already. Joining me here, Yuri from the Ravens Way podcast. Real quick, Yuri, you came back online last night, man, on the channel. Saw you grab one of my favorite people, Chris, just joking, and jumped in the chat. What's going on with the channel? I just wanted to give you a chance to say that.
So there is no permanent coming back just because of the schedule that I have going on. But I think every once in a while I'll reach out to people like yourself, like Chris, like Boss, and try and do something. So no definitive answer just because my schedule's so busy and trying to trying to make everything work out here. But I know come January I would say I'll definitely be a lot more active on there for sure.
Good. I just really appreciate having you here and doing this year. This has been a lot of fun, and the way it's shaping up, man. Be quite honest, we have a good year here together because things are rolling. And you know, I was thinking about this actually right before we came on. I never get real high after a win. I never get real low after a loss. I think it's just because I played sports my whole life and watched sports. But it's like I'm always, and part of it's just my nature. I'm always looking forward to. All right, well that's over with. What do we do next? So part of the reason I love the draft so much. Okay, we lost these guys. We signed these guys. What do we need to fill out the team? But I think it's important to step back and just appreciate what we're seeing right now from this team and this offense. I mean, Yuri, one of the things I wrote down: first team in NFL history to average 250 passing yards a game and 200 rushing yards a game through the first 7 games. 250 pass and 200 rushing over a 7 game stretch, like almost half the season. They're averaging 461 yards per game, which is 50 more than the second place Lions. So the Lions are sitting at about 411. Ravens, 461 yards a game. Just appreciate this, man, Ravens fans.
For sure, and they're also on a couple records I looked up the other night was they're on pace to break the most yards of all time in a season, and that's the beating the 2011 Saints, and then the most points ever scored in a season as well. So, and there's other ones too. There's other ones where they're at least in top 10, top 15 range. So
Yeah,
it's
Henry's on pace to break the all-time rushing record. There's some crazy stuff happening right now with this offense.
for sure. And you have to just appreciate it because it's not something we've seen in Baltimore. I'll say it. This is the best offense that we've seen in Baltimore probably ever, at least for the first couple of weeks. Now things can change, hopefully not, but you just have to be very excited for how the rest of the season is going to play out and hope they stay healthy.
That's the main thing. There's 2 guys, and I'm not even going to mention their name. You can figure them out at home. Just keep these 2 guys in good shape, fresh and healthy down the stretch, and we'll be fine. Want to check in with some of the people in the chat already. Jackson, Josh, I've been loving watching these every week. Appreciate you, Jackson, man. Like having a lot of fun doing it. Really having a lot of fun doing it. J Dub back in the house. Thanks, J Dub. Voltron, yeah, beat you any kind of way, any given day, any given play, any like game script in a game. It just blew me away. Like the announcers on Monday night were wondering if Derrick Henry was hurt. He hasn't been in there. He hasn't been in there. Well, we were just cruising without him, scoring on 6 straight possessions without Derrick Henry. Brought him in to close out the game. It's just beautiful. Um, Army Magic, go Ravens. John back in the house. Thanks, John. Teams are scavenging the Browns carcass. Man, yeah, we've got a lot to talk about with that team. That's definitely on the conversation topic. I want to bring this back up. The Browns haven't scored more than 18 points this season. And when they scored 18, I think it was there it is on the screen, 18-13 game at Jacksonville in week 2. A lot going on with this Browns team right now, and none of it is good.
Not at all. Their starting quarterback, or their quarterback that they started, as I should say, got injured. His season's over, and in terms of future outlook of the team, it's not great. You see them starting to sell off some of the players, and they sell off Amari Cooper, and I feel like they're acknowledging that they might have missed on their window, and now over the next couple of weeks, you'll probably see Darius Smith moved off of. I would not be shocked if Newsome, the cornerback they have, is also shipped off because they have a couple guys there they probably feel comfortable with. I could see that happening. But yeah, it's bad. It's bad. So I looked at it, and I'm sure when we get to it, we'll continue to tell our gripes about the Ravens pass defense. But this is the first game that I've seen on NFL Pro where the Ravens pass defense has an advantage because the Browns pass offense is ranked 31st. So it's bad.
Yeah, the wild thing with me in this game is that it's a different style game. We started referencing it last week, where the next 2 weeks, Browns defense is a good one. Like, don't let the overall raw numbers when I put them up at the bottom of the screen fool you, because as you can tell by their offense is just terrible. There's no other way around it. The quarterback was playing the worst quarterback in the league. It was awful. So for their Browns numbers to even be middle of the pack, there's a lot of talent on that defense. And then next week, the Broncos defense is ranked right up there, and they got Bo Nix, a rookie, starting for them. Game manager type with good legs, but still a rookie quarterback. So these next 2 weeks, after we've had shootouts with Cincinnati, Washington, now Tampa Bay, the Ravens switch and get a different type of challenge. Still not a complete team, but two teams that rely on defense starting this week. Yuri, I'm going to set you up with this, man. Let's bring up our first graphic. Public enemy number one. Myles Garrett. Yuri sends me clips every week. We take that bottom part off. Still getting it done, Yuri. Talk us through it, man. Myles Garrett.
Yeah, Myles Garrett probably playing as well as he ever has in the league. Sacks are kind of unreliable, but pressures are definitely a telltale sign of how well you're out there and you're affecting the plays. And as we've seen over the past couple of weeks with Lamar and setting up the play action and giving Lamar time to cook, this guy will absolutely, as you see on there, 19 quick pressures under 2.5 seconds. That's pretty freaking quick, especially for someone who's 6'5", 275 pounds probably. That guy's out there. He's moving. He's making plays, and he can certainly. You leave him 1-on-1 with Roger Rosengarten, and it may be one of those plays like, man, probably should have doubled that guy. So do not, and there's a couple players we'll get to. Do not let these guys just completely wreck your game. Kind of like Max Crosby against the Raiders. Don't do it.
Yeah, and the Browns blitz rate is high. I believe it's third in the NFL. I have that. Yeah, it's 39.6%. So they're blitzing on 39.6% of the plays, and I can guarantee you, Yuri. And in my short film study, I saw the same thing. When they're blitzing, guys aren't letting Myles Garrett be the unblocked guy. It's just like he's getting the attention all the time. So not only are they blitzing and bringing more than you can block, but this man is beating his blocks in under 2.5 seconds. Just a great player. There's no other way around it. And I have the cut-ups to prove it on the channel. Myles Garrett is known for being a rush end guy to rush over the left tackle. He has ducked prime Ronnie Stanley before and trying to take advantage of these Ravens right tackles. So we get to the matchup in a little bit. I think this is an important week for Roger Rosengarten, Yuri.
For sure. And you don't with how well Ronnie Stanley's been playing, you feel more comfortable than you would if you got the matchup against Garrett. But once you get the rookie out there, and I like Roger Rosengarten a lot, but one of the things that was a concern of his was the raw play strength. And to have someone like Myles Garrett come out, it's not a great matchup. Now Rosengarten has shown some improvements over the past couple of weeks in that area, but Myles Garrett's he's a different animal.
He's a different monster. Like, okay, so the thing with Myles is, he has got a strength advantage over Roger, who's a rookie and will get stronger. But even if Roger squares him up or anchors well, Myles is just so good in every other area that he can beat you, even if, he don't have to just win with strength. He can win with all other things. You got to prepare for his strength. And next thing you know, he's stringing together pass rush moves. So absolute beast. Second slide we have here, Yuri, has to do with famous Jameis Winston, expected to start for the Browns. He was their emergency quarterback last week. I looked up on the Cleveland Browns website. He had been the number 2, but they elevated Dorian Thompson-Robinson to the number 2 quarterback because they had put in packages for him, according to Coach Kevin Stefanski. So Jameis was the number 2. He got demoted to number 3 because they wanted to bring, I guess, maybe use DTR's legs, stuff like that, try to spark the offense. But DTR gets knocked out of the game, And as you sent me this, Yuri, he was chucking it. He was chucking it when he brought in their famous Jameis style, not afraid to throw deep, not afraid to risk the biscuit.
Yeah, kind of like Joe Flacco last year for the Browns as well. Came in there, Watson goes down, and Flacco comes in, and it's just a completely different offense. And I'm not saying that's going to be a 1-for-1 translation, but Jameis will push the football downfield, 8 of 11 attempts past the sticks, and that's something the Ravens have struggled with, as it says on your 4th high success rate against those type of passes down the sticks. So there's nothing over the past couple of weeks from the Ravens defense that has shown me that they can stop someone throwing the football downfield. So it is a concern. It's a pretty big concern. Now, Jameis is reckless, and we will probably get an interception or 2, or maybe even 3, but he's going to get his, in my opinion. I think he'll come out here, he's going to get his, unless Zach Core has a come to Jesus moment with the secondary, and they can figure it out.
Now, I do want to tone down this number a little bit, Yuri, just because when Jameis came into the game, we're talking late in the 4th quarter. We're talking you're down by 2 scores. We're talking, the crowd just booed your starting quarterback when he got injured, and Jameis was upset about that. Most of the Browns players were upset about that. So in a normal game script or the first quarter is, in his first 11 attempts of this game, is he going to throw past the sticks on 8 of 11? Maybe not.
No,
but,
probably not.
But it is Jameis's style. It is Jameis's style. I just wanted to scale back before anybody else said it. Like Jameis came into a game where, you had no choice but to chuck it. I want to talk about the Cleveland Browns, the vibe around this team. Okay. So obviously the Ravens, it needs to be said, Monday night game on the road, fly back home, get in late. Now you got to fly back out to Cleveland. This is actually the 3rd road game in 4 weeks. And that's something I personally look for on the schedule. Like if we're playing a weak team, but it's on the road, and it's our 3rd road game out of 4 weeks, that kind of thing tends to add up on you and mess with your schedule. But the Browns situation is even more fascinating. The Deshaun Watson situation, every player speaking out against the fans. The coach, Kevin Stefanski, now turning over play calling duties to Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator, gets to call his own plays. Brand new quarterback, brand new play caller, even though he's the offensive coordinator. And you're going into just an unusual situation against a city that has never could stand us. And I think over time, the younger generation doesn't hold as much animosity against the Ravens as, people my age do. But it's just a wild situation to be looking for. And it's not a desperate team as far as like, hey, we need a win to get our season in. But it's an angry team. It's a physical team. It's a team that just might say, to clean it up, the heck with it. Let's just go out and knock some heads around. Like that would be my like concern from a long-term point with as good as this Ravens teams look.
For sure. And my synopsis would be that it's probably going to be a lot of aggressive but undisciplined football being played. They just probably want to go out there and kind of let a little steam out as a team. And that we've seen in the past, a team when someone punches the Ravens in the mouth, the Ravens sometimes don't recover as well as they should. Especially this past game, and that's something I should have highlighted when we were talking about the Bucs. Was the Bucs were coming out there and running the football and getting 7, 8, 9 yards of play. If they stuck with that, the game script may have been different. Like it may have been a completely different game. I was talking with it to Chris last night, and it was like, yeah, if the Bucs just stuck to the run, I mean, we could have been talking about there's a completely different game. But the Bucs started throwing the football, and then Baker throws those turnovers, and it lets us have their way. And it's gonna be the same thing here, at least in my eyes. I feel like the Bucs and the Browns are similar opponents in terms of how good the offense, not the offenses, because obviously Godwin and Mike Evans are head and shoulders above whatever the Browns have, but quarterbacks to like push the ball down the field, good run games, at least with Nick Chubb back in there. So definitely concerned. I don't want the Ravens to relax this week. I don't want them to be like, we just want, we're on our high. We just scored 30 points in a row in 4 straight games. Let's just go out there and go through the motions. The Ravens certainly need to tighten up.
I like the different tests that you face and during the season to battle test you. So this is a test of our focus, and I think like in football in general, it's tough to get unfocused because your health's on the line, your livelihood's on the line. And it's an old saying that, I think rings true. If you're not playing 100%, that's when you're more likely to get hurt if you're half stepping out there and somebody's going 100, like that's why you see injuries in the preseason. Some guys are trying to get warm, get ready for the season. Other guys, their life's on the line, their livelihood's on the line. I mean, their financial life's on the line, their dreams are on the line, and you know you can see that. So, yeah, hey man, John, talking on something, and we'll get to this later. But Travis disappeared, especially like in the third and fourth quarter. This is an issue for me, Yuri, because we already don't have depth there. So Broderick Washington was out of the last game. He's missed the last 2 games, I believe. Travis went out, so we were down with to Michael Pierce, Matabike, and Brent Urban. Only 3 defensive linemen in that Bucks game. Another reason why they probably should have kept running the damn ball, keep Lamar off the field. So that was probably a mistake from them. But people are talking about trade deadline stuff and acquisitions, and floating out big names, and I respect all that. I agree with all that. But like run stuffers can be had for cheap, Yuri. You can draft run stuffers in the 5th, 6th round. You know what I mean? Guys that don't get any rush, but can at least stop the run. I think this team needs to seriously think about adding a pass rusher, if for nothing else, to like the next time somebody has a Travis Jones and they're banged up. Travis didn't practice today. To spread the load out a little bit. Like we want Travis Jones fresh. We want Matabike fresh. We need Michael Pierce. We need Broderick. So sign me a big, like, Jelly Ellis type, Justin Ellis, who was here. Somebody can just come in. Yeah, man. Somebody just take some of the load off.
For sure. And I'm not sure where he's at, but I think the Ravens last year, didn't we sign Ndamukong Suh there later at the end of the season, or am I misremembering things?
I don't remember that, man. I feel like I would have. Calais, J-Dub just brought up Calais. There's another one, man. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's just a concern of mine. I think more for January, but it could come back and bite us, in one of these games if a team starts having success. And to your point, we finally saw cracks in the armor in this rush defense.
For sure, and it's there's a lot of things too. It's not even just the defensive line being not being able to be. We were flirting with Sue. Okay, not even the defensive line not being fresh, but you add in the linebacker play. As much as fans are hating Patrick Queen because he went to Pittsburgh, he did a great job at least getting into and shooting holes in the run game and against the blitz as well. That was one of the things he was really good at. And I feel like we've been missing an element of that from the linebacker core, being able to fill those run lanes and shoot the gaps and hit some of these guys in the backfield for sure. And so that's just one of those things where the synopsis of how the defensive line and the linebacking core play off each other.
The Ravens, by the way, lost Josh Ross today off of waivers to the Seattle Seahawks. Mike McDonald took Josh Ross with him. So that was kind of a bummer because he's a guy that he's been here for 3 years. This is the 3rd season for Josh Ross. Christian Welch brought back. Good dude to have too. But yeah, linebacker play definitely has been a factor. PQ hasn't graded well in Pittsburgh, probably hasn't played well. I haven't studied him. But we're missing the chemistry from last year. Let's hit it, brother. Let's hit it. Ravens offense, 12 personnel has just been crushing them. Different variations of this offense has been crushing them. You talk about Charlie Kolar. You talk about Pat Ricard. You talk about Nelson Aguilar coming in, laying down some blocks and making his 1-2 plays a game. It's a really balanced offense. And, I asked you last night with Chris, Roger Rosengarten, Patrick McCary. I strongly believe, I echoed Chris's thoughts, that when Andrew Voorhees went down, that it accidentally upgraded 2 spots in this line because Daniel Faalele was getting a lot of flack for being the starting right guard and not performing up to par those first couple of weeks. But Voorhees was getting beat, in my notes and everything, when I'm looking at it, plays you would like to have back. Voorhees was darn near top of the charts. And he's not the most mobile guy when you're asking the left guard to pull a right-handed power scheme. So I think that McCary has done, he had a rough game with the penalties. Somebody brought that up earlier. It was our buddy Koku, disappointing with the pass pro, the penalties, plays coming back. That's true. I think McCary got dinged twice. But overall, Yuri, McCary's been an upgrade over Voorhees, and Rosengarten's been an upgrade over McCary. So we kind of lucked out to upgrade 2 spots. And Voorhees is okay. He's practicing, so we didn't lose any depth. But this line looks like it's playing the best ball. And I'm not the biggest Faalele fan. I still think that Ben Cleveland's a better player, but you have to give credit where credit is due. Faalele and the gang are making it work up front.
Yeah, and Falele's certainly exceeded my expectations of him. He's not that first week where I was like, it was really bad. It was really bad. He's certainly stepped up in that matter, and he's been out there and been able to provide, I would say, Chris said it last night, like average-ish level guard play, which is fine. But you make a great point about they kind of did luck into Rosengarten and Macari, because Macari is probably really pushing for that next contract extension, and it's payday time, and he's got to get out there and get his money's worth. So for him to go out there left guard and play pretty solid ball outside of those penalties over the past couple of weeks has been impressive. And then Rosengarten as well, letting up pressures, but in Lamar Jackson's scheme, right tackles letting up pressure isn't the biggest deal, but he'll hopefully over time figure it out and get it down. But yeah, you have to feel decent about the Ravens offensive line. I think I'm with you there with Cleveland. If he was in there, I feel like we would definitely be playing our best 5 pass protectors without a doubt. But it's not. They're still running the left though. I was about to say it's not that bad, but they still are running the left. They're having a lot of success running the left.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing on film, quite frankly, Yuri, is they've just simplified Faalele's assignment. So anybody who's kind of more on the hardcore football fan side will understand this. They're not asking Faalele to pull all the way over and run power left. They're asking Faalele when he does pull, and it's only a couple of times a game, for Faalele to head to his right and just pull over one gap past Rosengarten, or Rosengarten blocks down on, say, a guy like Tomlinson in this graphic. Small pulls. They'll ask him to double team, run duo with Linderbaum, and just get in the way when he climbs to the second level on some combo blocks. We've seen him out there in screens. He's not blocking anybody, but at least he's hustling and in the way and providing some kind of obstacle for people to play. So it isn't perfect, but I had the extra day last week, and I went back and watched our offense versus the Raiders. That was the game I wanted to watch because week 1's week 1. Week 2, the offense didn't look great. I want to see what's the difference between what I just saw or what what I've been seeing these last few weeks and what happened against the Raiders. And they have simplified what they've asked Faalele to do. He's down blocking. He's just blocking the guy in front of him. He drive blocking, duos, small pulls. Instead of asking him to be this complete Marshall Yanda type right guard who can execute anything, Kevin Zeitler could execute anything. They're just kind of dumbing down his responsibilities and letting him use his weight, Yuri.
For sure, and that's something that has been the biggest improvement in my eyes around Faalele is his weight. One, his weight distribution, and one, how he uses his weight. I mean, you see a couple of reps where he's just he kind of falling on top of guys, and he's kind of just lumbering over people, and that was something that was like, man, this guy's 6'9", 370 something pounds, and you're telling me like he can't get aggressive and he can't just use his weight and just start laying on people. But that's certainly been improvement that I've been very positive about. And then you have to add in the tight ends blocking as well. That's been a big factor. Isaiah Likely on the perimeter has blocked. If you go back to his rookie year and his time in college, and then now, a lot of these guys
night and day.
Just night and day. I mean, you talk about him, you talk about Justice Hill and blocking. A lot of these guys are just they're working out in the perimeter, and it's an extension of the offensive line with Ricard and Kolar and Likely and Andrews. I mean, those are 4. Like, I'm not trying to go hyperbolic, but like think like there's how many tight end groups have 4 fucking guys that can block and all do it at a pretty good level. Excuse my language. Just like how many, like if you think about in history, how many times have they had 4? How many offensive had 4 guys that could all block at probably like a 75 plus PFF grade level?
He body slammed Karlaftis in week 1, but I likely has done it over and over again. I want to say this past game it was like 3 or 4 just beautiful blocks in space, and they're not always going to be. You're usually not going to be body slammed or some kind of highlight block, but he's making it so there's no way for his guy to get to the ball carrier. He's getting to the spot quickly, but under control. He's manipulating his body. He's using his hands well. Kolar, same thing. Like that was the thing in week 2 in that Raiders game that I saw. We were blocking on the perimeter really, really well. It was just the between the tackles and the slightly off tackle stuff. The running game was a mess. It was either run right, or run left, or it was going to be a failed run. Now the whole running game is opened up and it's beautiful. Getting back to Rosengarten, I said, Myles Garrett, you see where he usually lines up. He's historically a rush end, unlike TJ Watt, who usually stays on that strong side. But against the Ravens and against Ronnie Stanley, and last week I saw it too when I was watching their tape, they are not afraid to move Myles Garrett to that other side where Zadarius Smith is. And I really expect Garrett and Zadarius Smith to be switching spots. So what you see on the screen, of course, is just one example of the different packages that'll be played. Garrett versus Rosengarten, that's why with these guys I chose to highlight, has got to be a matchup to watch. And if you got to give them a little help, and like say, in a formation like this, hey, let's bring Andrews close to the formation. Let's line them up at Y. Put him right next to Rosengarten. Or just chip Myles Garrett all game. Do what you got to do, because if we have one fewer resource out in the pass pattern, that's okay. That's better than having Myles Garrett get to your quarterback in less than 2.5 seconds, like the graphic we put up.
For sure, and the chipping, the Ravens offense is doing a really good job at chipping as well. And I just want to highlight at least the last game. Is I don't think Vita Vea really had his way or really ruined a lot of plays against us. So certainly that's a testament. And I know we're talking about Rosengard, but just the offensive line as a whole, and how that such a night and day difference from that week 2 game where Crosby and the other guy,
Christian
Wilkins.
Wilkins.
Wilkins. There you go. How those two completely wrecked their game. To now where the offensive line, even though still kind of Tom Munkin has the training wheels on, which is not a bad thing. You're supposed to do that as an offensive coordinator.
I think the communication has gotten better. I think Lamar's gotten better at setting setting the protections. Just his natural evolution in Munkin's system. And I think the guys together are doing better at passing off twists and stunts. Like, there definitely is a development part to your point.
For sure. And then you have to add in them finally having running backs that can pass protect. Having that last line of defense not to be a turnstile is huge.
It really is. I think that, I have Derrick Henry highlighted in this game. And the reason why is, we'll talk about the Browns corners coming up soon. But this strikes me as a Derrick Henry / Justice Hill type game. Obviously, I only have one running back on the screen. But, if the defense does what it's supposed to do, maybe turns Jameis over a couple of times, and the Ravens get up, even by 2 scores, Yuri, even like a 14-point game, like a 14-point game against this Browns team is kind of like, no offense to them, it is what it is, would be kind of like a 3-score game against Tampa Bay, or a 3.5-score game if there's no such thing, but you get it. A 24-point lead against Cincinnati. So Ravens get up a couple of touchdowns. I could see Justice Hill like maxing out his season carries. Maybe Justice Hill gets 8 or 9 carries instead of like the 3 or 4 he usually gets in this game. It's a running back game because the Browns are talented in that secondary. I think that you can wear down Shelby Harris, Dalvin Tomlinson, and the gang up in the middle. Instead of letting, JOK, Owusu Koramoah, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith attack Lamar, maybe you run the ball, shorten this game, and get the heck out of Dodge.
For sure. And that was working that the Browns have always not been a great team at defending the run, especially in the middle. And, of course, you have Zadarius and Garrett out there on the edge that can set the edge. And the Ravens would have to probably do a lot extra in terms of getting those tight ends involved that they want to run stretches, tosses, and sweeps. I still think the Ravens should do that. But this is probably one of those games where, hey, we want to do that kind of pin and pull, run under center, and then show them the same look and out of play action and be able to hit those crossing routes, hit those hit those plays. And especially if you remember back to last year, was that Melvin Gordon play out of the backfield, that wheel route that they hit. To your point about getting the running backs involved, I could certainly see Justice Hill getting involved in that type of play, and especially the Ravens, if the Ravens get going how they usually do, with the run offense. You can do a little play action, wheel route and get all that stuff going.
I mean, and again, uh, this Ravens offense is doing everything at a high level, beating the blitz. The numbers down at the bottom that are scrolling now are just ridiculously good. You talk about first in points, first in yards. This guy's leading this. Jordan Mason is trailing Derrick Henry by 206 yards for second place. I think, Mason and the 49ers have played one fewer game, but still, it's just ridiculous. So, if the Ravens can win this game and Lamar only attempts 18 passes, I'd be happy if Lamar gets out of here and, with 2 quarterback hits or something. He's the least sacked quarterback. I think he's tied for the least amount of sacks taken. We can get out of here relatively fresh, grind the game down. That's kind of like the game plan I'm looking for, which is why I highlighted Henry.
For sure. A little 24-17, 24-13 type of game where the Ravens offense isn't going crazy, but they're still establishing physicality and still being able to establish the run. And Lamar probably doesn't have the day that he's been having the past couple of weeks. So I'm with you there.
That's fine with me. Like, there's no stop points. Let's just get a win and get out healthy. That's kind of how I'm looking at this game. And J-Rom makes a good point, and be nice to mention this now. Keaton Mitchell, running back, coming back soon. When that happens, the running game really opens up. Now, Keaton Mitchell started his 21-day window of practice today, so he's eligible to return. He's got to be activated within 21 days, or else he's put on IR for the rest of the season. He can come back at any time. Just my untrained eye, if I were Harbaugh, by the way, I wouldn't want any cameras on Keaton Mitchell. But some footage of him leaked out of, jogging, stretching, doing some pre-warm-up, just some warm-up type stuff. He does look a little stiff, which is to be expected coming off major knee surgery. I would think, Yuri, my opinion, I'm going to get yours, that he's not going to be activated this week, of course. He's not going to be activated next week. He's going to be activated on the 21st day, is the way I expect it. I don't see him coming back quick. Unless maybe there's an injury or something. But even if there is, like, Keaton Mitchell is important. I think they take their time with him and use up all 21 days.
I'm with you there. There's no reason to rush him, especially with the way that the the Ravens rush offense is working now. And unless there's some sort of injury where, hey, Justice Hill goes down, we really need a running back. Well, we don't want to get one off the street. Keaton Mitchell, hey, just give us a couple snaps a game and we'll work through it. But yeah, you don't want someone last year who completely flipped the Ravens rush offense upside down and put it in such a great spot where the explosive plays. He's just too valuable. He's just too valuable. And even when he does come back, it's not like he's going to go out there and outsnap Justice Hill or outsnap Henry. He's just going to get sprinkled in with some of those runs and getting him out in space and using him as a speed demon, because he is. So.
Yeah, and I was a little disappointed. Maybe the botched onside kick again changed things. But, I wanted to see Chris Collier get some snaps in that game. I wanted us to be in a position to pull Lamar a little bit earlier. Again, maybe it's just a warrior in me, but it's a long season, man. You get these guys even off their feet and out of the zone and be able to relax and laugh on the sideline. That's a big thing. So, if Keaton Mitchell comes back and he even if he only gets 5 touches a game, 6 touches a game, maybe he's in there for 15 snaps, that's still saving the king. It's still saving Justice Hill a little bit, so where these guys can be fresh down the stretch. And with Keaton Mitchell, I mean, he could break off an 80-yarder at any time. You talk about, not only his speed, but his vision, I thought was really impressive. His ability to run between the tackles, Yuri. This isn't some guy that needs a wide open lane. He can fit through the creases, manipulate his body, manipulate defenders, good vision, and then, of course, that closing speed. But I remember when I put Keaton Mitchell on my draft board, and I'm real stingy with running backs because I know how it goes. Sometimes only 12 of them will get drafted. So, you get past the top, like 4 or 5 backs or something. Then they all start looking the same. I chose Keaton Mitchell, put him on that board because they were playing, I think, LSU, and he wasn't just their change-up back. He was their 3-down back pretty much. And they had another back, but they were giving Keaton Mitchell the goal line carries. They were giving him the 3rd and 1s, the 4th and 1s. And he would hit the hole hard, but at good speeds, and just be able to turn, get small, and get that yard or two. So it was I started to see him as not just this speed back change of pace, but somebody who can get that extra yard or two. If he's by the first down marker, even it's 3rd and 5, if he gets hit at 3 yards, he can kind of manipulate his body and make sure he gets there, get himself nice and small, skinny. Just more of a complete back. I just can't harp on that enough.
For sure, I'm with you there.
So Yuri, I just talked a lot. Talk about this talented Browns cornerback group. It to me, it's one of the best in the league. Not hyperbole. And I highlighted Martin Emerson because what a player he's been for them.
For sure. So Denzel Ward, another highly touted. All these guys are highly touted. You go back to look in their college days. These are all very productive college cornerbacks, and it's translated. They've Ward has been a Pro Bowler, if not an All Pro, for most of his career. Newsom's been a very solid player, and Emerson was someone I wanted in that draft. I was very high on him because of his ball skills and the production he had at Mississippi State. Him to come in the NFL, he's exceeded those expectations. He's definitely one of those cornerbacks where he'll stay in phase and he'll make a play on the ball for sure. So do not now I do think, and in the same vein as some of these cornerbacks we've been highlighting in the past couple of weeks, he does gamble just a little bit, and that can lead to. And I've been wanting the Ravens to do this for a while now. Work a double move in there. I know it's going to be tough with Garrett and Za'Darius rushing at you, but man, if they went out there in like a 7-man protection and worked a double move in there, to Bateman or Flowers or someone, I feel like it would be money. I mean, Bateman kind of did one against the Bucs. It was a head fake. It wasn't necessarily a full double move, but if they could work a double move in there, I feel like it'll be money.
That was almost like a triple move.
Yeah.
It was he made the move and then he made another move. One thing I'm really excited about from a scouting perspective, Martin Emerson, he's got the straight line speed, but he's also a big, strong, long corner. And what I liked about him coming out and what I've seen in the pros is he's excellent at press coverage. So one of the nerdy things in this game for me, from a player evaluation standpoint, isn't just when Emerson lines up on Bateman. It's specifically Bateman, lightning release, a bunch of different releases on the line of scrimmage that Bateman can give you versus a really good press corner. So I can't wait to see, even if it's just 7, 8, 9, 10 snaps, Bateman trying to get off the line of scrimmage with Emerson right in his face and how that matchup goes, because it's an NFL strength for both players is their ability for Bateman to get off the line and for Emerson to jam and disrupt routes.
For sure. And we saw that Flowers was did not practice today. And it'd be interesting to see if the Ravens went out there and let's say Flowers doesn't play in this game. What life as Bateman wide receiver 1 again looks like. Does it look as good as it did those first couple weeks in 2022, or is it? It'll be interesting for sure, because if they bracket them, how does that matchup work? My expectation is Flowers will play, but you have to think like, if the Ravens offense goes out there and they don't look as great, do you consider trading for another capable wide receiver at the deadline? It brings up that whole conversation. I know once we get to it about the defense, that we'll probably have our thoughts there about the edge group and such, but a lot of interesting dynamics working in this game for sure.
For real. And today's practice was more of a soft practice, walkthrough type. I mean, it's real, they're just coming off the game, so this is like a Tuesday for them as far as recovery time. So Zay played through the game for those who didn't notice, came back into the game, kept playing. So he should be fine, I would imagine, for this game. No other real injuries on offense, so that's good. Full unit. Another guy I could see having a big game here, Yuri, is Mark Andrews. He's historically put up good numbers against the Browns. Grant Delpit, good strong safety. When JOK is on him, totally capable player, a better athlete than Mark, quite frankly. JOK is a great athlete, but Mark has a knack against the Browns. He has a knack for space. He understands some of the defenses that they're running. He understands some of the practice or the pressure packages, can probably recognize them and make himself available. So I would say if I had to pick a leading, as far as catches, maybe not yards. I could see Mark Andrews coming down with 6 or 7 in this game. It would not shock me.
For sure. And saw someone post earlier today that he's averaged at least 50 yards and a touchdown over his probably more than that over his time span against the Browns. So
It makes sense.
In terms of parlays, we'll certainly be tracking that one.
Yeah, the gambling man there, Yuri. Parts unknown does not stop game. Game recognizes game. We talked a lot about this Ravens offense already. I think we should switch it to defense, brother, because I would just say my final thoughts on offense is it doesn't have to be perfect. The offense may struggle a couple of drives. Maybe we don't see them score on 5-6 straight drives like they did in Tampa Bay, like they've done in the previous couple of games. But I want to see how they respond to whatever Cleveland does to test them. And side thought, if I'm a defensive coordinator going against the Ravens, I do not game plan for the Ravens. I think whatever you plan on doing is just not going to work. Like, we have answers for it. I would more concentrate on, you make adjustments for Lamar and stuff, but concentrate on what you do best. If you're a zone team, play a lot of zone. If you're a man team, play a lot of man. If you blitz a lot, just keep blitzing a lot. I'm not going to change my identity as a defense. I want my guys to do what they do best instead of trying to crack the Lamar Jackson code, because there's no such thing with this offense right now.
For sure. If I had to have a final thought, just keep playing the game. Keep going out there in 12 personnel. Keep getting the tight ends out there as blockers. Keep getting Henry and Justice Hill and the running backs involved. Keeping Henry fresh, and then keep pushing the ball downfield for sure. It would be a bad idea to go out here in 5-man protections, and let Garrett and Zedarius have one-on-ones.
Yeah, hey, we'll let Q Picks have the final thought. This will make you happy over there in your Carolina Tar Heels hat. I was a Terps fan for a while, so I wasn't a big Carolina fan. And he corrects himself, got Devontae's name right. But Devontae's Walker season, Yuri, got his first activation. Did not play on offense, but got 10 special team snaps. Who knows, man? Maybe he can be a factor this year. It would be exciting. Would add a nice little dimension there. So go ahead, man. Throw in your Devontae's Walker take for the first time this year. I know you've been waiting.
Yeah, so I watched the special team snaps, and he did beat the guy on the inside when it was Gunner. So, and he pushed him out of bounds. So hopefully John's looking, he's listening, he's like, you know what? There's a stripe. One offensive snap for you the next game. We got you.
Give him the brown shirt for the dirty work. The brown shirt was pretty funny, I thought.
Yeah.
So let's switch it over. Ravens defense, Browns offense. Man, the numbers on this Browns ranking offense, scoring 29th. We mentioned they haven't scored more than 18 at any game this season. Last in total yards, 30th in passing yards, 32nd in pass yards attempts. So they're attempting a lot, which is what got them up to 30 because they've been behind a lot. Not very effective. Nick Chubb came back with the running game last week, Yuri. I think it was 2 yards a carry. I think it was 11 for 22. Maybe it was 10 for 20, but Nick Chubb getting eased back in, their biggest weapon, probably not close to 100%. Didn't look like it for me, not ready for a full load. So you're not even getting the Browns' best offensive player in Nick Chubb, a full dose of him.
For sure. He's certainly coming back. I mean, that's one of the most traumatic injuries that you can have as a running back is one of those lower body injuries. And we have seen in the past is he's had his way. That 2019 Browns game, I remember that one, and they came into Baltimore, and him and Mayfield, they had their way. And I mean, this does, and I hate the term trap game, but the Browns' individual opponents they always have, because what do the Browns have to play for? They're just, I mean, in terms of their season, it's pretty defeated. But Chubb is one of those guys that'll turn up for sure. He will go out there and he will crawl through glass just to get his work in. So, very hard worker, and the Ravens have to defend him for sure.
They're going to have to try to run the ball if they care about winning at all. Maybe they want to just see what Winston has, see what the receivers have, but the Browns have taken more sacks. It'll scroll down the bottom than any team in the NFL. I think they're averaging 5 sacks taken a game. So their quarterbacks are getting crushed. And then on top of that, the Ravens, we complain about the pass rush, but they are actually fourth in sacks. Now, some of that is a product of the Ravens getting out the big leads, the other team having to pass. So the Ravens have a lot of opportunities to hit the quarterback. But the Ravens fourth in sacks, the Browns the most sacked team this year. And Jedrick Wills, who was highlighted there, he's not highlighted for positive reasons for Browns fans. This is a first round pick who has not met expectations. I have, film friends, in the Cleveland community. They've been on about this for years. His grades look bad. Anytime I've studied him, he hasn't looked good. So it's like the trifecta of evidence for me that Jedrick Wills is a liability. When I've seen what PFF sees, what the other people who study him sees, is none of it's good with Jed Wills. So yeah, Adafio Way over there, Kyle Van Noy over there. Yannick looks pretty quick off the edge right now. I would like to see some nice pass rush, defend the run on the way to the quarterback type stuff off that left tackle and hit Jameis while he's trying to look deep as he tends to do.
For sure, and force the turnover. This really should be a get right game for the Ravens defense as a whole. I'm with Q picks here. If we look bad on defense versus the Browns, I am officially concerned. And we brought it up last night. We have two opponents in a row where it's a rookie quarterback and a quarterback who likes turning the football over. We've seen plenty of times where if you get a hand on Winston, if you're an edge rusher, you just get a hand on him. He'll start doing the dancing. You remember seeing the videos of him doing the offseason workouts. He's ducking and going crazy and stuff, and he'll throw it up in the air just to make something happen. So, I mean, the Ravens defensive line needs to have a better game. They got to convert those sacks. They got to get pressure on them, and the Ravens defense as a whole, like, hey man, like Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, those guys really? I mean, are you gonna let those guys beat you to pass the sticks? I don't think so. I mean, Njoku is highlighted for a reason because he's good. The Browns' offensive saving grace is they're number 9 in intermediate passing, and that's a big reason because of him.
The Ravens struggled against Njoku. Geno Stone, in particular, struggled trying to tackle David Njoku. He's had good games against the Ravens, and last year I remember he had the campfire accident. Man, his face was all burnt up. I don't mean to have a smile on my face while I say that, but I'm smiling because the man still came out and balled, man, and respected Njoku for that. One other thing I found interesting when I was studying them, Jerry Jeudy, to me, and anytime I've seen him, he's been an ex-receiver, Yuri. He's usually over on that left side. Elijah Moore isn't a big guy who can, get off press coverage. But when I was watching the tape, it was just like it was right here. Tillman was the slot guy, the motion man. He's a bigger slot target in his second year. But I think why they have Jeudy over there is to pair him and running some high lows with David Njoku. That's what I noticed. Like they want to get, their first progression is going to have Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku in the same, same area, different levels to, put stress on the safety, Kyle Hamilton or the linebacker, Roquan or Trenton Simpson, and make it an easy read for the quarterback. So, yeah, they're featuring Jerry Jeudy in this offense. And with Marlowe's status, this is a good test for Nate Wiggins. So a lot of stuff to go off of there, Yuri, in the secondary.
Yeah, and Nate Wiggins, first couple of weeks, has dropped a couple interceptions. And it'd be nice to see him make a play on the ball and get an interception. Oh, there you go. Q picks again. Me and Q picks are like, we're having a moment here. We're having a moment in the chat. The past couple of chats he's been throwing out there is on the money.
Hey, he's got a nice picture too, bro. Nice picture. I don't know if that's Mount Everest or just a mountain.
Which mountain is that? Q picks.
Yeah, hey,
drop in the chat. Which mountain is that? But yeah, Nate Wiggins getting an interception here and making a couple plays in the ball, a couple pass breakups, certainly in line for this game. I mean, Nate Wiggins is fluid enough to stick with Jeudy. He can certainly has the length. It's not like he's going to get out Mike Evans or one of these big X receivers. This is Jerry Jeudy's just it's kind of like Bateman in a sense, and I trust Wiggins to be able to handle that matchup. And then you toss out there. This is another one is Marcus Williams. as we've pointed out a couple times now, Winston loves pushing that football downfield. He loves getting reckless, and it'd be nice to see Marcus Williams break on a ball, whether it's out in center field, Mount Everest, cool. Whether it's out in center field or it's working down into a robber spot, and for him to make a play on the ball and get an interception, I think someone's got to make something.
Need it, bro. We need it. We need a couple of turnovers in this game. Offense is going to have to help with that. Get an early lead, but I mean, Marlon Humphrey. Shout out to him. Pretty much changed the entire momentum of that game. It was after that interception that we scored 6 straight times. So we stopped them for the first time. They got a touchdown. Then they get a field goal. Then they get down there again. Marlon Humphrey intercepts a pass in the end zone. Ravens score 6 straight times. Game pretty much over. But I think that this is the Ravens can turn. And again, Marlon didn't practice today, but it was kind of a walkthrough. I don't think Marlon will be a full go. The knee injury is not serious. It looked more of a he got banged up type of thing. Heard through the grapevine it was just like a bone bruise or something. So he should be back. But what I'm going to do is spin this into a positive, Yuri, and say, look, the next 2 weeks we're playing teams with bad offenses. This is they don't have CeeDee Lamb. They don't have Jamar Chase. They don't have Devontae Adams. This is a good chance for Nate Wiggins to make a name for himself, get some valuable experience in there, and shut down some receivers who are good receivers, but they're not CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I was thinking back to what Chris said last night, where he started going through the Browns receivers. He started calling them bums, and then said someone was from West Bubble, what university? Huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man,
that's Chris, man. But yeah, a great opportunity for Wiggins to get his feet like firmly entrenched on the field. Play close to 100% of the snaps and show what he's got against Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and the guys that are coming up who aren't superstars but are still good receivers.
For sure, and we have to highlight, and you highlighted, is Arthur Maulet coming back in the lineup, and not only in coverage, because of course Humphrey working in that slot sometimes, working in the nickel spot. Maulet coming back at a great time if Humphrey's out. The timing could not be better. Obviously, you want them both back in, but if it were to happen, you know what I mean? So to have him out there and for him to be able to work in the slot, be physical, add another element to the Ravens defense with the blitzing and him screaming off that edge, that's another way to get turnovers, another way to get sacks, and I look forward to it because he was an unsung hero last year. He was if we were looking at the separation chart, and he was using that always up in that top right quadrant in terms of the least separation allowed. So very, very excited to see him get back out there. And Tillman's a bigger receiver. I don't know why they're playing in the slot. Sometimes I guess big slots are what they are. I'm not a fan of them, but certainly will be a fun matchup.
What about Isaiah Likely? You like him in the slot, though, right?
Yeah, but he's a tight end. Wide receivers, like, come on. It's like they're like posing as someone else.
You love labeling people. It's a bad habit. Just messing with you. Arthur Maulet, I'm just as excited to have him back. First, props to the Ravens organization and Arthur himself. It was just a minor cleanup, arthroscopic type surgery that he had. Usually with those injuries, Yuri, those are stuff you could play through. Maybe rest it up a couple of weeks and come back. The Ravens said, nah, we're good. We're deep in the secondary. We got Nate. We got Marlowe. We got Brandon Stevens. We got our Darius. We got 3 safeties. Arthur, go ahead, get that thing cleaned up. Take that, half the season off and come back fresh, brother. And look at what happens now. Marlon gets banged up. Arthur Maulet, if he played through it, he might only be 90%, 80%, maybe re-aggravated. Heck, maybe he really hurt his knee and was out for the year. So props to the Ravens for taking care of Arthur Maulet for making the solid decisions. And I'm going to build on that by saying I'm most excited about his ability to blitz because, people think about speed and angles and things like that. And Arthur Maulet's quick. But to me, it's the disguise, like you mentioned, Yuri. He disguises it really well. He's just got a knack for the timing of the blitz. And to make it look like he ain't blitzing, next thing you know, he's in the backfield causing havoc. I think there was a game last year where they sent Arthur Maulet on blitzes 3 times. He hit the quarterback all 3 times, like 3 for 3. I love that guy. I love his play demeanor too.
For sure. Me and Boss, we elected him as the Ravens top G player of the year. Was Arthur Mollett with that just that passion you see against the Chiefs. Everyone else in the Ravens, in my opinion, during the pregame, at least see him get out there and getting that. Don't mean to bring up bad things, but to see him get out there and get in people's faces, I love that in a player. So I would also toss out real quick is Armour Davis activated off for injury reserve as well, coming at a good time. Certainly was playing a lot better this year. The first couple of weeks he has in years past. Of course, the injuries that just keep happening, but certainly he will probably, if he's healthy and plays this week, will get a nice amount of snaps.
And I say this with all due respect to Mr. Armour Davis. I think he can play well and handle it. But at this point, man, if you can give us like a couple of weeks, that would be great, man. Give us a couple of weeks to fill in. Thank you, because I just can't count on this. This will be his last season here, probably. Yeah, it's just a tough go, man. It's just a tough go. Roquan Smith highlighted Yuri. I've actually liked what I've seen from Roquan the last 2 weeks better than what I saw the first 5 weeks. He looks like he's making some bigger impact. Of course, we've seen some big hits, but just the little things, getting off of blocks. We saw he was a victim of a couple of well-designed pick plays the other night. But overall, I think Roquan's playing more physically, and I'd like to see him, continue to improve and getting better and more disciplined and getting some more chemistry with Eddie Jackson, Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton, defending between level 2 and 3 and really tightening those windows. Overall, I think Roquan is not back to his all-pro form yet, but I do think that he's played better the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you there. He's he's played better, especially what definitely sold me. And I know you said not the hits, but was that big hit against K. Dotton. I mean, hey, if you're gonna keep letting people work over the middle, you gotta punish him. You gotta punish him with something. And there's nothing more to make a player second guess than you absolutely crush them. So I love seeing that. And then the foot speed as well. We saw, I think, last week against the Commanders was the foot speed where he worked. Jaden Daniels didn't have a huge day scrambling against us, and I felt like a lot of the time seeing Roquan be able to show that foot speed that he still has was a needed element for me to feel confident. He's certainly not back to the All-Pro level. Certainly would like him to continue to step up. And as you pointed out, those pass offs between level 2, and level 3, but has been better for sure.
By the way, I think the refs like Kyle Hamilton. They give him like the vet treatment because he's
killing people out there.
And he's not drawing the flag. And he threw the flag, and they were like, "Nah, we'll pick it back up." Replay assist said it was all shoulder. But I've seen people call. We've all seen people call for work or less than what Kyle's quote unquote getting away with, just dropping the wood on people. So hey, Kyle, more power to you. You keep being nice to those refs. You keep being a class act. You keep being a great player and getting those calls that we see great players in every sport get, or no calls in Kyle's case. The last thing I want to say about this Browns offense in particular is it wasn't too long ago, Yuri, where people looked at the Browns offensive line and it was one of the best in the NFL. Joe Bitonio is older, not as effective. Ethan Pochik is center, good player. Dunn, a backup. Conklin has been in and out, just getting back. This Cleveland offensive line has not played well. Travis Jones, did not practice, came out of the game, so maybe we see more Michael Pierce this week. Something to keep an eye on. But it would be a great game for the defensive line to come through and start dominating this Browns team and really rack up the QB hits, man, and rack up the run defense. And John Parsons with the funny Rozempic. Very nice, sir.
Rozempic. Yeah, my nickname for him has been Ro Fat. So it's been better, and it is childish. But the last thought I would add in is that I've hit on a couple times. This is a get right game for the Ravens defense. Go out there, seek and destroy with the running over the middle, letting guys run in these crossers over the middle. Don't let the Browns kind of turn into a dink and dunk, and then the dink and dunk, you move up because you got to defend the dink and dunk, and they start throwing behind you. Don't do that. Establish the tone early. and wrap up and tackle for sure.
I'm into it, bro. I would just like, get right game is maybe not the right term. I think it's the wrong term, actually. The Ravens are right. Get right game for the defense. Yeah, it was just like, I'm not going to get too high if we dominate the Browns defense. But like as someone said earlier, if we struggle against the Browns offense, that's a really bad sign. So play well all the way around on offense. Take care of the ball. I want to see them continue to emphasize that. Stay sharp. Do not give the Browns any kind of momentum. And John expresses some concern. I think that this is valid. If we're favored by 10.5, he's uncomfortable taking that because division games are usually tight regardless. It's just true. It's just tried and true theory that your division games, your opponents that know you, Cleveland's seen plenty of Lamar. They know his speed, which helps a little bit. You've seen Lamar's record against the NFC. Team like Cleveland's the exact opposite. The game plan wise, they are equipped on defense, better equipped than anybody since week 1 versus Kansas City. And just play your game, Ravens. Play a clean game. Cut out these damn penalties, please, and play clean on defense with the coverages being passed off correctly.
For sure, you very very well said. You took. I mean, that's just don't play sloppy.
All right, so hey, I know you got your roommate back, trying to be respectful out there in parts unknown. Final thoughts time there, Yuri. I'll let you start, buddy.
Yeah, I'll go. The Ravens win 27-17. I just think that at the end of the day, we're more talented. We're a lot better coached. The team isn't in disarray, and I think the Browns come out swinging early. But I think the Ravens, as the second half begins, they've had a very great start at third quarters in these past couple of weeks, and I expect them to continue and keep it up. And they kind of turn the cruise control to end the game out.
Excellent. Now, I kind of share John's concern with the division games being tight. What I kind of see is this game being a little tighter at half. So maybe at halftime, it's Ravens 13, Browns. Maybe they get a lucky touchdown or they had 6 or 7 points or something like that. So at the half, it's a one-score game, yada, yada, yada. The Ravens, Browns looks like a dogfight. Browns still have a chance. And then as the game goes along, the Ravens are just too talented on offense. And maybe this game does end up being a blowout, like a 28-16 type game, or Browns put up some kind of ugly score. Q picks going Ravens 27, Browns 3. I'll be really happy with that. I would really be extremely happy with that. We're capable of it as a defense. Yuri, this back end, I tweeted out a harsh tweet this week, and people know my style. I'm very level-headed, but I asked, does Zach Gore actually hold defensive meetings and actually hold practices? Because it's busted coverages every week. And it's not like I can say, oh, well, this guy A keeps blowing coverages. It's always him involved. No, it's a different dude every week. If you got a different guy every week, or a different two guys that are looking at each other every week, wondering where the other guy was, then that points back to coaching. So we've got to tighten this up, man. Like, I could go on a whole another hour show at diatribe, and I would come off sounding whiny. And what are you talking about? The Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL, and it's true. But it drives me nuts that we're having communication issues and breakdowns every week that you see on tape that don't cost us touchdowns, but are just unnecessary BS that are happening with everybody. Like, there was one play against Washington where there were two guys that were wide open. And I'm like, wait a minute, was that two coverage bust? What? I couldn't even figure out what defense we were supposed to be playing. This kind of stuff is driving me nuts.
Yeah, the especially to the one that happened in the last game with Mike Evans. Not just any receiver. Mike Evans is running free behind the defense. I mean, it was a good play call, but man, like, that stuff just can't happen. It just can't happen. It's just there's these are pros. These guys have been playing the game too long. And Zach Orr might be a player, but he's gotta get together.
All right, man. I'm gonna let you go. With that, I want to say thank you to our football family. Thanks for everybody in the comments. Hopefully, y'all come back next Wednesday, 9:15. We do this again. Been a lot of fun getting your comments in here and talking about stuff. Go Ravens. Stay healthy. Take care of business. Love my football family. Thanks, football family. Say goodnight to the people, please, Yuri.
Good night.